Hi everyone, this is your Hurricane Tracker video update for June 23rd of 2011. Well, as you can see in the Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific, all is quiet now after a couple of storms over in the Eastern Pacific. And unfortunately, it looks like that may not last too much longer. And we wanted to come to you tonight with a special video update to talk about the possibility of our first Atlantic storm sometime early next week. Recently, most of the major computer models have agreed on a tropical cyclone forming somewhere in the western Gulf of Mexico sometime in the early to middle part of next week. Since a lot of our users live on the Gulf Coast, we wanted to be the first to let you know of this possibility. Just about every computer model places a tropical cyclone in a different position somewhere in the western and southern Gulf next week. Anywhere from the Yucatan of Mexico up towards the middle Texas coast. It's still way too far out to know if a storm will even develop, and if it does, where it would even be headed. But we just wanted to give you a general idea and just kind of give you an advance notice that it's increasingly looking more likely that there could be a tropical cyclone in the Gulf of Mexico next week. One computer model shows it off of the northeastern Texas coast, headed towards Brownsville, while another here shows a stronger system headed towards the Mexican coast, and a third model showing another low pressure here in the very most southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, I'd give it about a 30 to 40% chance of one of these scenarios playing out, but you can bet we'll keep an eye on this for you. Now, the moisture is greatly needed. If you live in Texas, you don't need me to tell you that you've been in a pretty bad drought. You can see by the bright and dark reds that majority of Texas has been in an exceptional drought, even extreme conditions in some parts of the state. We would definitely like some precipitation, as the National Weather Service is forecasting here, kind of hinting at some moisture over South Texas, a few inches sometime in the next 5 days. And we certainly don't need a strong storm or any winds, but some tropical moisture would definitely be good for parts of the Gulf Coast. Now, the wave that the computer models are developing is actually right now in the Eastern Caribbean Sea, and it's being moved westward by an upper level high pressure ridge to the north of the system. And over time, as the system gets further and further west, the models are showing the moisture increasing and the organization increasing, especially as it crosses the Yucatan into the southern Gulf of Mexico. And of course, you can follow this tropical wave in the satellite section of Hurricane Tracker throughout this weekend and into early next week. Now, right now, the setup is appearing this way. Of course, this is highly subject to change. The forecast models are showing a upper level high pressure ridge over the southern United States, which would steer any cyclone in the southern Gulf towards the west or west-northwest, towards Mexico or perhaps southern Texas. Now, again, this could change. This is just how the models look at the moment, and they can and they will change pretty quickly. Any weakness in the ridge on the southwestern side or any further movement to the east could allow a more northerly movement into perhaps the Texas coastline. This particular model shows a storm very close to Brownsville, Texas, early next week. But we do think, and probably can say, the northern Gulf Coast, anywhere from Louisiana eastward towards Florida, would be safe from any tropical cyclone next week, as this high pressure ridge should be strong enough to keep any storms to the south or in the western Gulf of Mexico. Now, if some of you folks may remember last year, our first storm, Hurricane Alex, developed here in the western Caribbean Sea on June 25th, and the computer models are pretty much developing the same path that we had with our first storm last year. So it would be a little deja vu, so to speak. And the first named storm this year would be Arlene. So will Arlene turn out to be Alex's sister? Only time will tell. Of course, nothing is guaranteed at this point, but just kind of interesting at the least. Last graphic I want to show you, if something does develop here in the Gulf of Mexico, who would need to closely watch this situation? Anyone who lives in Mexico, from Cancun, the Yucatan, through Tampico, the Brownsville area, Corpus Christi, and even the middle Texas coast. Keep an eye on this. If anything does develop, you do have a chance of being affected in some fashion by a tropical cyclone if it does develop. Of course, we'll be here to keep you up to date. If there's any big change in the models, we'll issue a new video update. We just want our users to stay ahead of the storm and just pass along all this information. And thanks so much for watching and for being a Hurricane Tracker customer. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks.